Welcome, Najwa, to the second part of our conversation today on Rendezvous with the Stalwarts.
Thank you, Daniel, for having me. Thank you very much.
Najwa, when you look back on your career and all the projects that you have been a part of, which has been the most defining and challenging project for you and why?
In my career, I have worked on quite a lot of projects. Quite interesting, and all of these projects have been quite different. But what the one project that really stands out is London Wall Place. It's a commercial development located in the city of London. It's literally at the
Okay,
heart of London City. And the reason I like this project is because the architectural design is controlling the structural aspects, and it makes it looks really really challenging but really really amazing.
okay,
uh, this development has two different buildings. One of them needs to have a 45-degree viewing corridor for the St. Paul's Cathedral Church.
okay.
So what that means is the every floor of this building steps back. So every floor has an amazing cantilever all the way down to the ground floor with massive 2 meter deep beams at ground floor. Level one. So you can have open space at ground floor.
Okay.
And the second one is it's a boxy building, literally a box from level one and above, but half of the building is cantilevering to accommodate a ground floor open space for public. Um, and the way this building is cantilevering is literally six trusses connected together
Okay.
to hold half of the building up. So in this picture, you can see that it's six different trusses connected, and it's literally 11.5 meter from the nearest internal column. And it's this project for me was one. It was done when I was still learning quite a lot, so I was a graduate at that time.
Okay.
So I learned so much about how trusses work, but this was not a simple truss. This was six
Yeah.
connected together. So I had to literally go back to the basics, right? Like
Yeah.
draw
Yeah.
a line. This is a beam. If it's cantilevering, how will it behave? Then I had to start connecting. If it's a truss and then cantilevering, what's the difference between the beam cantilevering and the truss cantilevering? And then
Yes. Yeah.
connect all of them together one at a time. And this was literally the final product did not behave like how I thought it would behave like when I first started looking at one beam.
Okay.
So I learned a lot from this. And I absolutely love this because of its complexity. And the reason the half of the building is cantilevering on this one is because the site was an existing 1960s development. So it had a trapezoidal shaped basement box. And we were
Okay.
imagine putting a square on top of a trapezoid.
Yeah.
So half of the building was outside the site boundary. So we had to cantilever that. We had to do that. And that made it quite impressive. Um, and one thing that I really learned from this, and I still use it on all of my other projects, is if you have a complex problem, break it down into smaller chunks, understand the complex behavior through simple systems, because no matter what you do, the engineering basics is exactly the same. So
Yes. Yes.
in my case, I broke it down a complicated truss system into a single beam, and then I started putting this jigsaw together to form the final structure. And that's why I love this project.
Yeah. That's quite a challenging project, and I'm sure like you had a lot of learnings during the entire design phase of the project.
Yes, I did.
Nazwa, if offered an opportunity, is there any specific type or kind of project that you would love to be a part of the design team in the future sometime, or like do you have any dream projects that you desire to work on in your career?
I really like this question of yours. Really love it.
Thank you,
If
thank
an
you.
opportunity arrives, I would love to work on a very complex form. Um, and what I mean by complex form is something that uses the parametrics design techniques or shell elements or a unique form.
Yes,
And you can say something like Zaha Hadid architecture style.
yes, yes.
That's a real dream of mine. When I was studying, I used to say that to my friends and my peers that when I become an engineer, I want to be an engineer version of Zaha Hadid, which means I want to work on something complex, something interesting. Um,
Yes.
and that is still my vision, and something if I get a chance to do in my life, I will definitely grab that opportunity. My dream project is to design a structure that when I leave, that I can call that my legacy, right? Something I
Yes.
leave
Yes.
behind.
Yes.
I don't know what it looks like. I really
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it looks like, but what I do know is that I will feel absolutely proud once it's completed because I know I would have given the best of my engineering skills to that project, and it would have transformed the world for a greater future and for the next generation. So I would love
Yes.
to do that.
Yes. Hopefully, you get an opportunity sometime in the future soon to work on those kind of projects.
Yes, definitely.
Nazwa, the construction industry and all its related trades have majorly been male dominated professions. So, yourself being an active advocate for women in engineering and with all the success that you have gained in this profession, being a woman, what do you think could be done to lessen this gap and encourage more girls to pursue their careers in STEM related professions? Like, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Right. Um, I'm definitely an advocate of more women into engineering. But one thing I would say is I do look at it as more talent in the industry rather than just
Yes.
women or girls.
Yes.
Um, I did look at the statistics again. So, engineering UK 2018 statistics currently are showing very appalling condition of the industry in UK. It says, so I'm going to read some stats for you.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
says 12.37% of the engineers are women in UK. 21.8% women work in engineering sector, including engineers. So that's all the admin staff, HR,
Yes.
all the sectors which have more, which attracts more women. That's
Yes.
including all of that. So that included is 21% in the industry.
Yes.
46.4% of girls 11 to 14 years old would consider a career in engineering compared to 70.3% of boys. 42% of girls, so 14 to 16. So you can see how
Yes.
when the age
Yeah.
next, so it's already gone from 46 to 42 between the age of 11 to 14 to 14 and 16.
Yes. Yes.
When you go to 16 to 18, which is during the A levels period, it drops down significantly to 25.4%. And
Okay.
by the time you do your A levels in physics, is 22.2% of the students are female. So
Yes.
these statistics actually show that there is an issue with the perception of
Yes.
engineering.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when the girls are studying A levels, we still have 22%, and from this it drops even more to 12% by the time they get to the industry. It's
Yes.
literally
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
So we start losing girls from the age of 14. And that's why I prefer going to schools and I do a lot of STEM engagement activities with schools to raise the awareness of what does an engineer look like.
Yes. Yes.
I remember doing an initiative with BBC
Okay.
for the same reason to change the perception. But I went to a school, and these were year three students, and we these children were basically given different cards of different five different professions, and
Okay.
one of them was an engineer, and they were asked to guess from six different people. So we had a combination of women and men to guess what their career is. 90% of these students, these kids in this class, basically raised the card of a nurse when they looked at me. So it's an automatic perception at a very young
Yes.
age that if someone looks like this, is a nurse or a nanny, right? Rather
Yeah.
than an engineer. And when I actually told them I'm an engineer, I received some amazing reactions. Like there was one boy who literally said, "No way, you're not," right? And the girl
Yeah.
was absolutely excited when she heard that I was an engineer. So what we are
Yeah.
missing is the real perception of what an engineer looks like, and I think we need more and more role models. Having said that, so once we, let's say we've tackled with the issue at a younger age and we do get
Yes.
more people, so let's say this 22% did apply for engineering degree and we only got 12%. So the reason we've lost more people at that point and progressing forward, so 12% is still very good for women in UK. What you will realize is most of them are at the younger grades. So the more higher you go in the hierarchy within the construction industry, the less women you see. There are
Yes.
very, very few women who would you would see at this top management level. And that's the challenge, because from that 12% we drop it even further to go down to to the top management. I don't know the exact number for it, but I can tell
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
I only know two senior management women
Yeah.
around me, right? So
Yes.
that means,
Yes.
and when I'm saying I'm talking about my own
Yeah.
specific property and buildings,
Yes.
uh,
Yes. Yes.
and we would like to see more. And
Yeah.
what I think, there are a lot of challenges, and what I think one of them is the equal opportunities. It's not about whether you're capable of doing the job, because both women and men are doing exactly the same job. It's
Yes.
how that's perceived. Women tend to struggle with their self-confidence. So there are a lot of things, like one is like, and I'm guilty of doing that to myself. I question myself quite a lot, which I'm pretty sure when I speak to someone at my level, my male counterpart, he wouldn't be questioning himself as much as I do when it comes to doing things. And this is one
Yes.
thing women do to themselves to limit themselves, and it's nothing to do with the external environment. And on the other side, other women struggle probably because of the external environment. And one of the obvious one I keep hearing again and again is men get promoted based on their capability, their talent, their potential, whereas women have to prove that they are good for that level before they get promotion, which basically means you're giving not equal platforms to the two genders.
Yes.
And
Yes.
this is something I hear quite a lot in construction industry. I do like it was a problem in other industries as well, and possibly it still is, but it's a lot more when I hear that from my people I speak to from time to time.
Yes.
And
Yes.
this is something that I would like, that's something that we can control, because we can, through the through appropriate training of the line managers, through speaking through building a culture where you give equal opportunities to everyone, you give
Yes.
that chance to everyone to go up together. um, I've once been asked whether, if I have two people who come to me, a guy and a girl, a woman, male and a woman,
Yeah.
male and a female, and if I have a job, who would I select? And I will say I will select the one who is most capable and competent for that position. I
Yes.
look
Yes.
at the merit rather than look at the gender. I believe in equal opportunity for everyone. I would like to see both of them to be able to come and sit in front of me and then get judged or get selected based on their capabilities, based on
Yes.
what they
Yes.
can
Yeah.
do. And I think there's a lot that needs to be changed, but this is one thing that can be done without without making it too complicated, without making it as a really big issue.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, these are some great insights that you provided for this question, and the statistics that you brought in, like, are something that we as an industry should ponder on and try to improve ourselves and improve the perspective in young girls during their schooling years.
Yes.
So that brings us to the end of our questions for today. Let's move on to our next segment to explore Nazwa's imagination and gain a few takeaways from her learnings and experiences so far in her career. So I have asked Nazwa to sketch up an imaginary structure, concept, process, or technology that she desires should be available in the future for our profession without keeping in mind any of the constraints at this point. Let's have a look at what she has sketched up for us today.
Right, everyone. So get ready for my sketching skill. Right. Okay. So right. So can you see this?
Yes, yes.
Right. So what I have is I've got client architecture, stakeholders, contractors, and governing bodies. What I feel is engineering in the future will be all of these bodies feeding into a consultant, and the consultant will then be coming up with a design idea or any solutions for the challenges, and then work together with the robot slash artificial intelligence, right? And all of that will then feed into a factory environment, which is the off-site construction. And that off-site construction, the structure will then be delivered to site and then erected in place. So this is how I think the industry will look like in future, right?
That's a very good imagination and a great sketch that you have prepared for us today.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So, as a takeaway for all our listeners for this show, Nazwa, could you share a rule of thumb that you have developed or followed during your career that might help our fellow engineers in the community to keep in mind while designing or analyzing structures?
So one rule of thumb that I absolutely like, I wouldn't say I've developed it, I've learned it through
Yes.
my working from my seniors, is for the analysis, because we're doing a lot more of the work in the softwares now.
Yes.
So there is a sense like when you're putting the model together, there is one thing that you can do to make sure the results you're getting out are right. And it's very simple. Make
Yes.
sure when you apply the loads, the vertical loads, sum of all of those loads added together, just add all the reactions together. The applied load should be equal to the reactions. If it's
Yes.
not, there is something wrong in your model. And the
Yes.
same applies for the horizontal forces. All the wind forces or the horizontal earthquake forces or anything you've applied, all the applied forces should be same as the base reaction of the building. If it's not, there's something wrong in there. So just use
Yes.
that as the points to make sure that you're not doing that, your structure is not behaving in a way that it shouldn't. And it's very simple, but it's a very good tool that you can use every
Yes.
single
Yes. 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 That's a very simple thumb rule that every young engineer should keep in mind to have a quick check whether their model is correct or are there any errors that they have done
time.
in the
Yes.
model. Nazwa, thank you so much for taking out time for this show today and sharing your great experiences with us. I'm sure this conversation will be helpful for many of our fellow engineers in the community. I hope you enjoyed being a part of this show as well. Would you like to share any of your closing thoughts on the show today?
Thank you very much for inviting me. I absolutely love sharing my passion for engineering, which obviously I did not develop from a very young age, but it's there, so it can happen. So one
Yes.
thing I would say is, if you're not sure and you're in the industry, give it some time. It might happen.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
every day is something new, so I learn something new every single day. Challenges are different now that we are all working from home because of the whole pandemic. It's
Yes. Yes.
even difficult to get that interaction with your colleagues. So what you can do as a young engineer is to go out and make sure you have that regular conversation with someone senior and experienced, to make sure that, remember that, ask the question, to make
Yes.
sure
Yes.
you're on the right track, you're not doing any mistakes that shouldn't be there. And there is no harm in asking that. And even though the projects, I'm sure all of you will work on amazing, amazing projects, even if they are not something incredible, that incredible project can be your dream one day, like mine
Yes.
is. So
Yeah.
keep looking towards this. It will happen. Stay positive,
Yes.
and work together, because construction industry is all about collaboration. I can't just sit here, design the entire building on my own without speaking to the client, without speaking to the architect, contractor. So it's all about communication, working together, bringing everything together. Even the structural design, I can't do it on my own. I have
Yes.
to speak to other people to make sure it's all fully coordinated when it's going out of the door for the final construction. So it's
Yes.
very
Yes.
important, and I think that's one thing. If nothing, if you learn nothing from this, just learn one thing: speak to someone else, just talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this video. Make sure you like, share, and comment your thoughts and questions on this video. Type in any questions that you would like to ask Nazwa in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to the channel for helping us grow our structural engineering community. See you all in the next episode soon.
Thank you.